Welcome to shul.com. We are here, B'ezrat Hashem, starting the virtual Halacha program and we have the Mar'eh Mekomot. We are going to be beginning the history of Halacha from Sinai until today. It's unbelievable. Mark Moheddeb, my good friend from Brooklyn, found it, and B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to learn it and put together some knowledge of how did Halacha come to fruition today. Today it's a big thing, Halacha, and it says, Eina Shechina Shora Ela Bedala Damo Shel Halacha. It says today, if a person wants Shechina in his life, he should learn Halacha. And Hacham Yitzhak Yosef doubles and triples down on this, that if places are sitting and learning only Gemara, and you have people only learning Gemara for years and no Halacha, he says they're not doing right. You must be learning Halacha. It's very important. Now, I know, I've seen it firsthand in many places in Brooklyn, where people have been learning Gemara for years, and they don't know basic halachot of Orah Hayim, morning, Shabbat. You ask them how to do this, I don't know. Everything's I don't know. And he might know Gitin, how to give the get in 23 different ways, but he doesn't know basic halacha. That's why it says, Ohev Hashem Sha'arei Tzion Mikol Mishkanot Yaakov. Why does Hashem like Sha'arei Tzion Mikol Mishkanot Yaakov? Because over there they focus in halacha, not Sha'arei Tzion in Brooklyn. We're talking about Sha'arei Tzion, because on the Sha'ar, why is it called Sha'arei Tzion? On the Sha'ar, on the gates, who sat at the gates yesteryear? The judges. So halacha is things that need to be judged. Yes, no, aseh lecha rav, organize all the thing. So before we begin, it says, aseh lecha rav v'histalek min hasafek. It's not in the paper, it's outside. That you should make yourself a rabbi and get away from the safek. So you make yourself a rabbi for two primary reasons. One of them is hashkafa, which is philosophy, or different types of things of musar and things of that nature. The other one is halacha. Now, the other way of learning it is aseh lecha rav. Make yourself like a rabbi. V'histalek min hasafek. And then, of course, a person always needs to have a rabbi and a teacher above him to ask and consult. But make yourself intelligent. There's no reason why you should not be able to open up the Sfarim and be able to come up with a few conclusions and then go present it to the rabbi. I remember when I saw this myself, where someone asked one of the Rosh Kolelim in Brooklyn, and I was there. It was like a basic Mishnah Berurah answer. I was even surprised the guy had the guts to go to the Rosh Kolel and ask him such a silly question. Like, if I was a Rosh Kolel, I would have laughed at him and told him, what are you kidding me? I'm like, it's Orah Hayim, it's like the second Siman, like you don't have to go far. And the rabbi had the same reaction. The rabbi was like, what? He's like, open up Mishnah Berurah. I was like, what are you joking me? He goes, that's what you came to ask me? That was what you stopped me for? That was where we got? He was trying to say, like, look, know your stuff. It's okay. When a person's young in high school, he's learning the ropes. But after high school, okay, start to learn. You can open up the halacha. We have Hazon Avadya, Yakut Yosef, the Ben Ish Hai, Shulchan Aruch, Mishnah Berurah. And Baruch Hashem, people today can do it. There's English, there's Hebrew, and that of the like. So let's begin. We have here Mishnayot, Masechet Avot. It says, Kol Yisrael Yishnam Helek la'olam haba. Shne'eman v'amich kulam tzedikim la'olam sha'at netzir mata'ai ma'aseh yadai lehitpa'ed. Let's go. Perek Aleph. Moshe kibel Torah misinai umsara lihoshua. Right away it starts that Moshe kibel Torah from where? From Sinai. It doesn't say Har Sinai. It just says Sinai. It doesn't say Har Sinai. But we make a big deal on it that it was Har Sinai. It just says Misinai. It was humble. It didn't identify itself even as a mount or a mountain. You know why that's interesting? Because look at with the first word of the Mishnah. It says Moshe. It doesn't say Rabbeinu Moshe, would have been Moshe, because the highest level when a person reaches his learning is first name basis. It's not. And I was recently reading from one of the encyclopedias about the whole ideology of the rabbinate, smicha, and how it came about, and how the different terminologies were put together. And it was writing in there that there's different terminologies, like Rabbi would be the rabbis that came from Israel that had smicha. That's what you'll notice in the Gemara. Then you have Rav. Rav is a rabbi that was usually in Bavel or outside of Israel. Sometimes you'll see Rav of rabbis that lived in Israel, but that's usually because they were born in Bavel or learned in Bavel or went to yeshiva in Bavel and they came there or they went back and forth. And then you have another terminology called the Rabban, with a nun at the end. Who's that? Those are the presidents. But there's an exception. Rabban Yohanan ben Zakkai, he had Rabban, he lived at the time of the Chuban, but he wasn't the president. They gave him that title because of how great he was. I think he lived 120 years. Rabban Yohanan ben Zakkai. So we here right away we get Moshe kibel Torah misinai. We have already a humble start. Moshe and Sinai. Umsara lihoshua. He gave it to Yoshua, Vihoshua, Liskenim. Now, up until this point, it was Kenim the Nevi'im. This is so far taking place in the Midbar and going into Eretz Israel. Then we have Unvi'im, Mesarua, then Anshe Knesset Gedolah. So we have quite a long time.
Yeshua is in Eretz Israel at this point, right?
Yeah, but the Skenim were also in the Midbar. They had Skenim in the Midbar. When did they put together the Skenim? When Moshe Rabbeinu started to say it was too much work for him. So Hashem said, if it's too much work for you, get Skenim. Let them do some of the heavy lifting for you. And then Hashem recommended he brings for him Skenim. And then the Skenim sent to the Nevi'im. We have Nevi'im Rishonim and we have Nevi'im Acharonim. They're all found in the book of the Nevi'im. Why do I say that? Is that in the Ketubim, it's a different tier of prophecy. The Ketubim is a prophecy on the level of Ruach HaKodesh. It's a high level of Ruach HaKodesh, but Ruach HaKodesh. There's a reason why they separate Nevi'im and Ketubim. It's not just time. It's also the level of their prophecy. Now, the Nevi'im gave it to the Anshe Knesset Gedolah. Now, on the Anshe Knesset Gedolah, we had at least 4 prophets sitting on them. Who were they? Chagai, Zechariah, and Malachi. Malachi is Ezra HaSofer. That's how they refer to him. If you look in the Targum of Malachi, the first pasuk tells you it's Ezra Safra, Ezra Sofer. We also had Nehemiah. It was probably Beruach HaKodesh, Nehemiah. I have to check if he's on the 48 Nevi'im. We had 48 male and 7 female. We had Mordechai Yehudi. Also, he was also sat on Sheni Knesset Gedolah. Now, on Sheni Knesset Gedolah, when were they? They were right.
Mordechai was a Navi?
Mordechai was a prophet. I think he's called Petahya, if I'm not mistaken. That was the other name that they had, Petahya. But yeah, he was a prophet. And he definitely had Beruach HaKodesh. The book made it into Ketubim, but I believe he was even counted amongst the Nevi'im. We can actually check it. Before we're done, we'll look up the list of the Nevi'im. It's found in the Gemara. We'll check it up and we'll see it. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam shekol niyeh b'dvaro. Now, when did Anshe Knesset Gedolah live? Anshe Knesset Gedolah lived right at the time of the second Beit HaMikdash. Why is that? They included Megillat Esther into the Tanakh, but they refused later on the Hashmonaim, the Sefer HaChashmonaim, or what you would call, there's another book called Megillat Antiochus. There were 2 of them. They were not accepted. And the time difference between the Megillat Esther and of the Sefer HaChashmonaim is only 220 years. So in the course of history, they didn't make it, even though it's the upcoming holiday, very important holiday and everything. The Hachamim, they were not thrilled so much with the Hashmonaim to some extent. One of them being that they took Kehuna and they became Melachim, and that they kind of went into a territory that was not theirs. You know, we get it. They won the war, they won the battle, they're great generals and everything, but when it came to running the country, the Malchut had to stay with Malchut Beit David. So, Anshe Knesset Gedolah, also what they do, they put together a lot of the new mitzvot. We have the Sheva mitzvot that we added, because today we have 620 mitzvot, 613 plus 7. They added them, they codified them. They put together all of our tefillot. The Amidah, which was the Shemona Asrei, before they added the Lamanim, the Malshanim afterwards. It was 18 berachot. They put together the tefillah. In fact, it's brought down, Rabbi Mansur taught it to us, I don't remember the source, but he taught to us that the power of Anshe Knesset Gedolah with their tefillah was that anybody who prays, even if he doesn't understand it, it opens up gates in the Shamayim. It's keys to open up gates. Obviously, praying without understanding is not a good idea. We spoke about that this morning from Rav Musafi. He spoke about how we did one of his questions on Dorei Shion. He spoke very harshly about people that spend their whole life saying words that they don't understand. But then Anshe Knesset Gedolah, when they wrote the tefillah, they did it in a way that it has power to work even if you don't understand it, but obviously a person should go out of his way to fully understand it. So we get to the Anshe Knesset Gedolah. Now, why are they important? This is so important what we just started with here, because it shows us we have lineage. And don't forget, the Torah was given year 2448. We are now 5784. And there are almost no changes in the Torah from the time that we got it till now. Why do I say almost no changes? Because there were some letters that we have questions on. What I mean questions, like Sfaradim, they have one word in the Torah. It's under the word Pesu'ad Daka. They spell it with an aleph at the end of it, Daka. And Now, when it comes to the Ashkenazim, they write it with a hey. So if you look at Ashkenaz Sefer Torah and our Sefer Torah, the difference is one letter, the aleph and the hey. But if we have our friend Yossi, and if you ask Yossi amongst the Temanim, Yossi will tell you that Temanim have a completely different Sefer Torah, and he's right. I think they have, we're going to do it in the future, hopefully, about 20 plus extra letters, but they're all silent letters, like aleph, heys, vavs, yuds, things like that. Mostly, I think most of them were alephs and vavs, but we'll go through it when we do it, when I print out all the notes on it. I'll put that here that will be for our upcoming. So Bezat Hashem, that we're going to look at each one of them and see the difference. So what's unbelievable is that the Kri is actually the same amongst all of them. It's only the Ktiv that has a difference in the Aleph and Hey. And by the way, it doesn't change the way the word is said. It's the last letter, it's a silent letter. So from the time of Moshe to the Anshe Knesset and Gedulah, we have a rock solid lineage, and we have lineage from Anshe Knesset and Gedulah till today. We didn't lose it. We have an unbelievable Misorah.
How long between Moshe and Knesset and Gedulah?
Very good. So let's see if we can figure it out here. I know that they have it in here. I think they should have it in the back. Let's take a look if they put it in here. I can tell you this much: it was 400 years that we had the Mishkan before the Beit HaMikdash. Then you had 400 years of the Beit HaMikdash, 800. Then you had 70 years Galut, a little over 70. So you have 870, and then you have 410 for the full second Beit HaMikdash. But Anshe Knesset and Gedulah were in the time of the second Beit HaMikdash. So for 800, maybe 1,000 years, about 1,000 years, I would say. Give or take. I don't have it exactly. Let's see if we can pull it up here if they have it. Oh, actually, I have it right here. The book's right here. We were doing Sefer Dorot HaKatzir just the other day. So let's take a look here, and we'll get the exact time of the difference. Let's take a look here. Okay, so let's take a look. Yes, Mordechai Yehudi was one of the 48. He was, like I told you, he was the last one of it. Okay, let's see. Anshe Knesset HaGedulah. I don't see it here exactly. It's not coming up here quickly, but I'm assuming it's about 800 years. Let's give or take. That's what I believe that we have between them. Let's see if he brings another.
And from that point, from Anshe Knesset and Gedulah to now, there have been no changes.
Yeah. So from then until now, we don't have any changes at all of it. Now. Before we continue, I'm going to read one part from this Sefer Dorot HaKatzir, which is very, very important. Why is there any mahloket in halacha? Why is there any mahloket? Like, why don't we just know the answer? Why is it that there's different opinions? How could there be different opinions?
Because time changes, and halacha needs to address.
So, if halacha needs to address a time change, why would there be two opinions? Okay, I get it. If microwaves come out, you need to give me the halacha. Why do I have two opinions on it? I want you to read. I want to read you something.
Yeah.
Because this is pretty important. Kifi Yadua, like it's known, Torah Yisrael hi kelil hashlemut, that the Torah of Israel is shalem. It's not been changed. Ketzadim ken, then how so? Yishnan machlakot rabot kol kach bashas. Why are there so many arguments then? If everything was so perfect, then what happened here? When he gave them the Torah bichtav, and he also gave them the verbal Torah. He explained it, everything with all the interpretations. This is key point, that before the Zugot of Hillel and Shammai, there were no arguments in Am Yisrael. Nothing. There was only one halacha. It was one way and that was it. There was no Ashkenazim, Sfaradim, there was no Hasidim, there was no my rabbi taught me that way. Before Hillel and Shammai, it was just clear. What happened? אלא בכל הדורות ידעו את כל טעמי התורה בידיעה ברורה. They knew everything clearly. וכן את המשניות בהביותן ודקדוקיהם. They knew them perfect, המשניות. וכפי שמעידה הגמרא בבבא בתרא קל"ד עמוד ב', תנו רבנן. We have the rabbis taught. 80 תלמידים היו לו להלל הזקן. He had 80 students הלל הזקן. הקטן שבכולם, the small was רבי נתן בן, it was Ribaz, that's Rabbi Yehoshua, who is here? Rabbi Ribaz, let's take a look. Hakatan Shebahem, he writes here. Let me get you the name. Rabban Yohanan ben Zakkai. Let's make a note of it here in the book so we have it. Okay, so the smallest of the students that he had Hillel as a king was Rabban Yohanan ben Zakkai. Why is that important? He ended up becoming the president. So it's kind of important that a rabbi that we had that was the smallest in his class became the one who determined. You know, it's interesting. Vehu lo hiniach, this rabbi, Rabban Yohanan ben Zakkai, who was the smallest of all the 80 students. Lo mikra, lo mishnah, lo talmud, lo halachot, lo diktukei Torah, b'diktukei sofrim, kalin ve'hamurim, gezerot shavot, tikufot v'gimatriot, mishlei chobsim, mishlei shu'alim, sichat dekalim. He knew when palm trees would speak to each other, he knew how to identify it. Sichat shedim, he knew when the shedim would talk with each other. Sichat malachei hasharet, ma'aseh merkava, havayot de Abaye ve'Rava. That's the smallest of the students. So why am I showing you this? Is I'm showing you that our lineage was rock solid, nothing changed, even until Hillel and Shammai. Umikan ata lomed, she'afilu havayot shel Abaye ve'Rava lo hayu mida'atam shel Abaye ve'Rava. He was telling you that some of the opinions in Abaye and Rava were not even their opinions. It was opinions that existed beforehand, and they were always discussed. It just happens to be that we're quoting it today on Abaye and Rava, but it was a previous argument. That they came up again using pilpul of deducing different things. They came up with it. When the Beit HaMikdash was around, everyone had, every Rav had Talmidim, and they did the Ta'amei HaTorah. המשנה והתלמוד כפי שנאמרו בשעתם בדיוק מילולא בחוכמת התלמידים הייתה מרובה כך שלא יצטרכו לטרוח בלימודם. וכן כתב באיגרת רב שרירא גאון. Rav Shira Gaon was a rabbi lived in the time of the Geonim, that was before the year 900. וכן היה הדבר שהראשונים שלא נודעו שמותיהם, אלא שמותם של נשיאים ואבות בית דין בלבד. משום שלא היה המחלוקות ביניהם. He goes, you know why we're missing some of the names of some of the Rishonim? Is that there wasn't any mahloket at the time. So there wasn't any need to have to identify. So we knew the names of the Av Beit Dins, we knew the names of the main rabbis, but not of every other one because there wasn't any mahloket. אלא כל טעמי התורה היו יודעים אותם ידיעה ברורה. It was very clear. והתלמוד היה גם כן ידוע עליהם ידיעה ברורה. והוויות ודקדוקים במשנתם על כל דבר ודבר. That I'm quoting for you, quote unquote, from Rav Shira Gaon. אם כן, לא היו מחלוקות ביניהם כלל. There were no arguments at all with them. פרט למחלוקת אחת ידועה בזמן הזוגות והיא בעניין הסמיכה. There was only one argument that wasn't the עניין of סמיכה, of thing. Okay, בזמן הלל ושמאי התחרבה מחלוקות כמעט. That's when all the מחלוקות started with הלל and שמאי.
Why then?
Let's take a look what happened. והם נחלקו בשלושה דברים בלבד. They had, הלל and שמאי had only 3 arguments between themselves. That's it. Okay? אך לאחר שחרב בית המקדש, right? After the Beit HaMikdash was destroyed, Bizman Ribaz, that's Rabban Yohanan ben Zakkai, we'll call it Ribaz like he says here, והתפזרו כולם לכל הכיוונים ולא נשארו מרוכזים במקום אחד. Everyone after the Beit HaMikdash got spread apart to all different countries. Some went to Bavel, they went to Syria, they went to Assyria, they went to Egypt, they went to Africa, they went to Spain, they went to Europe. They were all over the place. And then people started to forget. And that's the first start because we lost the Lishkat HaGazit, we lost the main Beit Din, things started to loosen up, and they were starting to get mahlokot, and they were, and it was more that people, I guess, didn't know. We can't say that they knew, because prior to this they knew, and there was one place and there was no mahloket. So there was issues, I guess, of unknown things. Okay, v'chein miribui mehumot hashmadim. They were also, after they were the Churban Bayit, it was just one problem after another. The Jews kept on having to move from one place to another. It was just difficulty after difficulty. Shibushim shayu be'oto zman. There were a lot of shibushim, a lot of mistakes. Lo shimshu hatalmidim kol tzorkam et rabotehim. And the talmidim, they weren't really mishamish their rabbis like they used to. Before, they were all in one place, it was set. Here, it just became a little bit all over the place. They didn't learn all the details. And they forgot the halachot. Therefore, came up a lot of different opinions. Because of that, we got to where we are today. So let's continue. He has one more piece on it, and then we'll continue here. Here's the place. He says this is what the Rambam said in the beginning of the Perush and Mishnot. Whoever should think כמו כתוב מקובלים בפי משה וחושבים שנפל המחלוקת מדרך טעות ההלכות. He goes, if people think that they're arguing because there was mahloket and we forgot halachot or hishkacha, completely they don't forget it. Or if you should think that one of them has a truthful thing and the other one doesn't have a truthful thing, don't think that. Or shachach, or lo shama mipi rabo, he didn't hear it. Kol ma shetzarich lishmoa, v'yavo re'aya al ze mima she'amru mishirabu talmidei Shammai b'Hillel shalosh shimshu kol tzorkam. They had a lot of students in Hillel and Shammai, and they were not mishamish the rabbi properly. Rabbeta machloket b'Yisrael. A lot of machloket came in Israel. V'na'asat Torah kishte Torot, and it came out like almost two Torot. Devarim ka'elehem hay nafshi. דברים מגוונים ומכוערים מאוד, והינם דברי מי שאין לו ידיעה אלא בידו העיקרים. וכל זה שב ובטל, because it's not true. אבל כאשר לפתה שקידת התלמידים על החוכמה ונחלשה סברתם, when the students became weak in their knowledge, ונחלשה סברתם, סברה is being able to deduce certain things, like קושיות, הבעיות, כנגד Sferat Hillel Shammai Rabotehem Nafla Mahloket Benehem. When they were not able to teach over clearly what their rabbis' opinions were, more and more mahlokets came. Why? But what was the source of it? That they didn't know what their rabbi actually said to begin with. Because if they did, they wouldn't have had arguments. Why? Because Hillel and Shammai, how many things they argued on? 3. It says only 3 things that they were arguing on. So if there's only 3 things Hillel and Shammai argued, how did their students have so many things? Because they didn't mishamish their rabbi enough to know. And this carried itself all the way down the line. And everyone will start to use their own intelligence instead of using what they learned. Whatever he uses his intelligence to take, whatever he knew was ikar. He goes, I know this is for sure right. So he took that and then he mixed it with partially with a little bit this, that, but all based on what? That they didn't properly get from Shammai and Hillel everything. Rav Shira Gaon be'igarato hosif, he added, Rav Shira Gaon, it wasn't that we have a mahloket in our masoret, in our lineage and heritage, but rather the hefach. Hayu adayin chachamim min hador hakodem shayu talmidim shel Hillel v'Shammai, or shel Torah chachamim makirim et hamasot shelahem. That wasn't the issue. It was just issue of being able to deduce certain things, but they didn't forget. It's not that wasn't the case that they forgot and that they had to all do it over. It was improper shimush of their rabbis, which led to more and more machlokot.
So when you hear Beit Shammai, Beit Hillel, that's all the students.
Students, exactly. And that's exactly why you said it right, is that before, up until now, what I said Hillel and Shammai. You said Beit Hillel, right, because it's brought down that Beit Hillel and Beit Shammai had a lot of machlokot. Hillel and Shammai had 3. And before them, how many machlokot? There was just 1 on smicha. That was the only thing, which is unbelievable. It also tells us that, okay, it's not a big deal. We still have it all right. Okay, let's take a look at the next piece that he has here on Eruvin, Daf Nun Dalid Amud Bet. Tanura Banan. Ketzad said the Mishnah, Moshe limed mipi hagevura. Okay, so Moshe learned it from the mouth of the Gevura. That's the Borei Olam. Nichnas Aharon. Aharon came in. Mishina lo Moshe. So Moshe told him. So the Gevura teaches Moshe. Moshe teaches Aharon. Pirku nistalek Aharon. After Aharon finished learning, Vayashov, the small Moshe, he sat on the left of Moshe. Nichnasu banav. His children came in. Okay? Bishina lahem Moshe pirkan. And Moshe started teaching them. His children. Nistalku banav.
Whose children?
Okay, his children. Moshe.
Moshe's children.
Yeah. Actually, looks like it's here. It might even be Aharon's children. Let's take a look, actually. Because it says here, Pirkan nistalku banav Elazar yashav yamin Moshe. So it looks like Elazar is Nadav and Nevihu passed away. You have Elazar Itamar. So these are the children of Aharon. Let's take a look at what Rashi says on it, if he has it. Yashiv l'smol Moshe. Detanya ha'me'alech le'yamin rabo hareze bur. Whoever goes on the right of his rabbi is a bur. Bur is like a low level. Not, shouldn't go to the right of the rabbi. Kol sheken yoshev bizman she'en sheni le'shev basmol. Okay. ושנה להם פרקן אותו פרק עצמו ששינה לאהרון. אהרון לימין משה חוזר, אחרי ששמעו בנה ויש שני לישב בשמאל, משה כבוד הוא לאהרון, ולמשה להיות אהרון שהוא גדול בה יושב בימין. Okay, so it says here that this were the children of Aharon. So you have here, we'll highlight it. We started with Moshe mipi hagevura, and then it went to Aharon, and then it went to their banav, which is the two boys, Elazar and Itamar. V'shinalehem Moshe pirkan nistaleku banav. Elazar yashav le'yamin Moshe, Itamar l'smol Aharon.
So they were in the middle. So Moshe and Aaron were in the middle. Does it matter where they sat? Or it's just a matter of.
You know what? I want to actually check this up because it says here. Elazar v'itamar. Okay, so that's good. Those are the two children of Aharon that came. Okay, then the small Aharon, then Aharon, Elazar sits on the right of Moshe, and Itamar to the left of Aharon. Okay, he's just giving you the layout.
Right.
Rabbi Yehuda Omer le'olam Aharon liyamin Moshe. Always Aharon was on the right of Moshe. Chozer nichnesu zikenim v'shana lahem Moshe. Pirkan nistalaku zkenim. Okay, when the zkenim left, nechnesu kol ha'am. Then the whole nation came in. V'shana lahem Moshe. Pirkan nimseu b'yad Aharon arba'a b'yad banav shelosha ובيד הזקנים שניים, וביד כל העם אחד. נסתלק משה ושינה להם אהרון, פירקו, ונסתלק אהרון, שנו להם בניו, פירקן, נסתלקו בניו, שנו להם זקנים, פירקן נמצא ביד הכל ארבעה. So he's showing you the way that they would teach in it. It's interesting that Moshe didn't just gather Aharon, the children Elazar and Itamar, Aharon's children, the zkenim, and Chola'am together. It was all done separately. Okay, so we have Moshe, Gevura to Moshe, Moshe to Aharon, Aharon to Banav, Elazar, and Itamar, and then you have the Zkenim to Chol Ha'am. Let's see if there's any more Rashis over here that we should read. No, that is it. Now it says here, what's interesting is that as each one came in to learn, they stayed for the next learning session. So when Moshe taught Aharon, and then Moshe taught the children, Aharon was still there. And then when the children were done, they stayed, and then the Zkenim came, they were still learning. So they kept on learning it over and over. So how many times total? If you count it, it's 4 times. So 4 sessions, Rashi tells us over here. Aharon sheshama Moshe on the left side, umistai'a milta lehitkayem bilibo lehavin mehar afal pi sheshama dal pamim lehavin maher afilu hachi shama dal pamim. So he in order to remember it lehavin maher, to remember it fast, afilu hachi shama dal pamim.
They still learned it 4 times.
Yes. Interesting. להראות לו פנים, ללמדו לתת טעם בדבריו, בכל אשר יוכל, ולא יאמר כך שמעתי הבן, אתה הבין, אתה הטעם מעצמך, וחברו בפרק ראשון, שהיה אומר אל טמא טהור ומראה לו פנים. So, the system of learning kept in that same routine, where they kept staying in there. That's actually an interesting system of how they did it. Very interesting. Okay, let's take a look what he has next. Hakdamat Harambam Zal. Okay, so
pink is like if we have time. So yellow is like the primary, and then pink is
the extra ones. Bro, there's no pink on this page. I guess this one was pink. Okay. Yeah, I see it. He printed a different color. Okay, let's read. We'll read the yellow then. Kol is Hakdamat Harambam. It says here, "Az lo evosh behabiti el kol mitzvotecha." All right, kol hamitzvot shinu lo Moshe beSinai bepirushan nitnu. All the mitzvot that were given to Moshe on Sinai, they were given with their perush, with their interpretation. Shneimar ve'etena lachat et luchot ha'even v'haTorah v'hamitzvah. God gave him the stone tablets, the Torah, and the mitzvah.
So even hukim. Mm-hmm. So there were reasons, we just don't know them today.
Yeah.
They were when they were given.
That's what it seems like. He explained them all. Moshe understood it. Torah zo, Torah shebechtav. The Torah that's mentioned here is the Torah shebechtav. Mitzvah zo pirusha. The mitzvah here is talking about the pirush. V'tzivanu la'asot haTorah al pi mitzvah. And we have to follow the Torah according to the mitzvah, which is the pirush. U'mitzvah zo hi hanikret Torah sheba'al peh. So that means when he went up and he got the luchot, the Torah and the mitzvah is really not the mitzvot. That's talking about Torah shebe'al peh. Kol haTorah katva Moshe Rabbeinu kodem sheyamut bechtav yado. All of the Torah Moshe Rabbeinu wrote before he died. ונתן ספר לכל שבט ושבט, וספר אחד נתנהו בארון לעד. So every single shevet got one, and he put another one inside of the Aron.
So Hashem didn't write it and give it to Moshe. Moshe actually wrote it.
Moshe wrote it. Yeah, that's why it says Mipia Gevura. He heard it from the. Yeah, let's take a look.
So
right?
the Torah wasn't sent to him. He wrote the Torah.
He
heard it from Hashem.
Yes. The Luchot was written by God, but the Luchot was not the whole Torah. The Torah was written by Moshe. It says here, Moshe limed Mipi HaGevura, from the mouth of the Gevura. He didn't actually get
the Torah.
Yeah, the Torah. It was actually taught and then written. כל התורה כתבה משה רבנו קודם שימות בכתב ידו ונתן ספר לכל שבט ושבט וספר אחד נתנהו בארון לעד. שנאמר, לקוח את ספר התורה הזה ושמתם אותו. והמצווה שהיא פירוש התורה לא כתבה אלא ציווה בה לזקנים. Okay, so the mitzvah, which is the Torah שבעל פה, he didn't write it. He only gave it over to the zkenim. אלא ציווה בה לזקנים וליהושע, and to Yeshua, ולשאר כל ישראל. So he gave it, see over here, he skips over Aharon, and he skips over Elazar and Itamar. You see that? He goes straight to zkenim, Yehoshua, and Kol Israel. שנאמר, את כל הדבר אשר אנוכי מצווה אתכם אותו תשמרו לעשות. ומפי זה נקראת תורה שבעל פה. That's why it's called Torah שבעל פה. It wasn't written. אף על פי שלא נכתבה תורה שבעל פה, לימדה משה רבנו כולה בבית דינו ל70 זקנים. That even though it wasn't written, he taught the 70 זקנים that were in the midbar with him. ואלעזר ופנחס ויהושע שלושתם קיבלו ממשה. So then he brings you now Elazar and Pinchas and Yehoshua, they got it from Moshe. He so far didn't bring me Itamar. That's brought down in the Gemara.
Right, wait, so now these three received what from Moshe? They received the Torah from Moshe? They received...
Yes, they got direct learning from now, Yehoshua he already mentioned, but here he added Elazar, which was Nadab's son, also the Kohen, the next Kohen Gadol.
Yehoshua wasn't mentioned in...
It was. Of course it was, sure. Actually, you're right. He skipped it, and that's right. I didn't pay attention. That's right. He didn't. What Yeshua was not mentioned there. He mentioned it earlier. Harambam mentioned it here earlier, right before. It says here, so he says, Elazar Pinchas. Elazar was the next Kohen Gadol. Pinchas also became a Kohen. שלושתם קיבלו ממשה. They got it from Moshe. ליהושע, שהוא תלמידו של משה רבנו, מסר תורה שבעל פה וציווהו עליה. So he says he did. The Gemara didn't mention Yoshua, like you said. וכן יהושע כל ימי חייו למד על פה. All of his life, he just learned בעל פה. It's unbelievable. וזקנים רבים קיבלו מיהושע. And a lot of different זקנים got from יהושע. וקיבל עלי מן הזקנים, וקיבל אלי, that's אלי הכהן, מן הזקנים. He got it from the זקנים. And ומפנחס, from both of them. Pinchas ended up living a very long life. Shmuel kibel me'eli ubedino. Shmuel got it from Eli and his bet din. David kibel me'Shmuel ubedino. Ve'Achia Hashiloni. Achia Hashiloni, he was the rabbi of Eliyahu HaNavi. Miyotzei Mitzrayim haya. Ve'Levi haya. ושמע ממשה, והיה קטן בימי משה, והוא קיבל מדוד ובית דינו. מיוצאי מצרים היה. So he says, אחיה שילוני was from the ones who left מצרים, ולוי היה, ושמע. So I guess he learned from Levi directly. You know, Levi is the son of Yaakov. Levi lived 140 years, I think. In Egypt, and I think he was the last to die of all of the Shevatim. So maybe that's why he's the last to die. So he gave it over. Haya b'shama mi-Moshe. V'haya katan b'mei Moshe. V'hu kibel mi-David u'mi-bet dino. Ve'Eliyahu kibel, that's Eliyahu Navi, mi-Achaya Shiloni, his rabbi. Elisha kibel me Eliyahu. Elisha got from him Ubedino. Yehoyada HaKohen kibel me Elisha Ubedino. Okay, let's continue. And then he continues down with all the other names. I see why he made a different color here.
It's just this one to that one, that one to that one, that one.
Yeah, it goes all the way down of all the Talmidim that they gave over.
Right.
And then he goes, "Who kibel me'aviu Rabbi Elazar ben Shamua Rabbi Shimon v'Havrav." Rabbeinu Hakadosh is Rabbi Yehuda Nasi. Chiber HaMishnah umiyamot Moshe Rabbeinu ba'ad Rabbeinu Hakadosh lo chiberu chibud שמלמדים אותו ברבים בתורה שבעל פה אלא בכל דור ודור ראש בית דין או נביא, שהיה באותו הדור כותב לעצמו זיכרון השמועות ששמע מרבותיו והוא מלמד על פה ברבים. So when they would get up, he would only teach Be'al Peh Barabim. That would be the Rosh Beit Din. And he might take notes for himself, but he would teach it Be'al Peh. Everyone would write for themselves notes. Kefi kocho, according to the strength, Mibi'ur HaTorah u'mehilchoteha kemo sheshama. He would write the bi'urim and the halachot the way he heard it. U'medevarim shenitchadshu bechol dor vador bedinim shelo limdu mipi shemu'ah ela b'midah mishelosh esrei midot. Now there is that Rabbi Ishmael gave 13 different ways that a person can deduce laws from the Torah. We don't use those because that era closed, but we do have the process of how to do it. Gezer hashava, mikal vachomer, klal uprat, prat ukla, klal uprat ukla, eat ha'adan, ela ken ha'perat. There's all those details. We don't use that at all today. You're not allowed to, but it was used, and those were the klalim. So that was from the Shlosh Esrei Midot.
Why don't we use them now?
Because once the Torah was closed and all the halachot and mishnat were put in place, a person can't now use it because a person can then start taking pisukim and start saying Gezer hashava here, there. He can start making his own things. So we don't do it. V'hiskimu alehem bet din hagadol. And when they finished the bet din hagadol, agreed with them on the Shlosh Midot. V'chen haya davar tamid ad Rabbeinu Kadosh. That was how behu kibetz kol hashemot v'chol hadinim v'chol habiurim hapirushim shamu me'Moshe Rabbeinu shedamdu bet din shebechol dor vador bechol haTorah kula v'chibed mehakol sefer haMishnah. And so when Rabbi Yehuda Nasi came, it says Itla asot Hashem heferu toratecha. He did something that nobody ever did, and it was almost asur to do it. But he overrode the isur because he said, if I'm not about to write this Mishnah, there might be problems. People might forget. People might deviate, and and it might cause even more machlokot. So he said he's going to do all of his work and put together the Mishnah. But when he finished the Mishnah, he only put what was in his...
He compiled it or he wrote it?
He compiled it and wrote some of them also, but he compiled. His job, it was compilation more than anything else, because he was the last of the Amoraim. That's why he was able to write it. He was not early on, he was later on, because he saw the people perform the Tanaim and Amoraim. Tanaim first and the Amoraim, and before Tanaim with the Zugot, like Hillel and Shammai. So he saw all of that. He knew all of what was already said and taught over, but he put in. Now there's certain Mishnayot that he didn't put in the Mishnah, but they're a real Mishnayot. Those are called Braitot. Then you have the Mechilta, you have the Sifri, you have other things. You have other things that were put together that were not in his Mishnah, but we have them today, which means there were other texts that didn't make it to the Mishnah, that made it to the Gemara, and it made it to other places. Vishanenu the Chachamim barabim. They taught the rabbis barabim benigla lechol Yisrael bekitvuho kulam. Everybody started to write the Mishnah. Berabsu bechol makom. It spread everywhere. Kedei shelo tishtachach Torah be'al peh b'Yisrael. Because if a person, the old Torah she'be'al peh is based on the Mishnah. If a person learns all the Mishnayot, he'll know majority of the Gemara. ולמה עשה רבנו הקדוש כך, ולא הניח הדבר כמו שהיה? Why didn't he leave it the same? לפי שראה שתלמידים מתמעטים והולכים, says there's less and less students, and they're leaving, והצרות מתחדשות, and there's more problems, ובאות ומלכות רומי פושטת בעולם ומתגברת, and the Roman government kept on growing stronger and stronger and more powerful, and they're the ones who destroyed the Beit HaMikdash, and he was very concerned. וישראל מתגלגלים והולכים לקצוות, and Israel is being spread all over the world. חיבר חיבור אחד, he wrote one book, להיות ביד כולם, in the hands of everyone, כדי שילמדוהו במהרה ולא ישכח. So people could learn quickly and not forget. So it's unbelievable, it's beautiful what he has here so far. Let's start this next one on the Hakdama, and we'll try to see if we can finish this one, and then we'll continue tomorrow. אבל כל הדברים שבגמרא הבבלי, everything that's in the Gemara Bavli, חייבים כל ישראל ללכת בהם. You have to follow. וכופים כל עיר ועיר וכל מדינה ומדינה. And the kofim is like they hit every year, every city, מדינה, country, לנהוג בכל המנהגות שנהגו חכמי הגמרא. That they have to follow the Gemara. ולגזור גזירותם ללכת בתיקונם. And you have to follow what the gizerot were and their takanot ho'il. V'chol otam ha'devarim shabegemara hiskimu alehem kol Yisrael. Whatever was in the Gemara had a haskama. Now, Rabbeinu HaKadosh didn't write the Gemara. That was written by Ravina and Rav Asher. They compiled it. They were the last rabbis to do it. And that was the Talmud Bavli. When it came to Talmud Yerushalmi, it was Rabbi Yohanan. He put that one together. V'otam ha'chachamim shehitkinu o shegazru o shehinhigu o shedanu Din velamdu shehamishpat kachu. So all the rabbis that made takanot or gezerot or they had judgments, him kol chachmei Yisrael orubam behem sheshamu hakabalam beikre haTorah kula dor achar dor ad Moshe Rabbeinu olam shalom. And all those rabbis that did those things, even after the Gemara, they had some connection to the previous learning and generation and teacher and rabbi to do what they did. It wasn't just random. After all the rabbis that came after the Gemara was already finished, ubanu bo v'yatsa lahem shem b'chochmatam hem haniknaim geonim. So this is important. He tells you the people that were right after the Gemara, Tanaim and Amoraim, you have that period of the Geonim. This is a key part. You know why? Because we have handwritten texts of the Geonim. We actually have manuscripts of the Geonim. It's such an important part.
And it's beyond the Gemara.
Yeah, that was like before the year 900. Why is that so important? But maybe we'll look it up again on Dorat HaKatzir on the map. He has a beautiful map that he put together on it. Why is it so important? It's because we actually have the handwritten stuff of the Geonim. So if we know that the Geonim got it from the Amoraim, and the Amoraim got it, and one of the Amoraim...
So how come we don't study the things from the Geonim, or do we?
I don't. Buddy, all my research, Mark, whenever I have major questions, I go only to the Geonim and Rishonim. I go right into, and I use Otzara Chochmah and HebrewBooks.org. I pull up anything I can. I've looked into the archives in Oxford in France and in the Louvre, in Spain. Now Israel's starting to get access to a lot of the handwritten stuff. I always look at the handwritten stuff because I cannot tell you how many times I've seen things, opened up the handwritten text, and found differences in them.
Which do you follow? Do you follow Geonim? Do you follow?
No. What do you mean? It's more for research of understanding. It's not.
Right.
But I'm not choosing. I mean, halachot do change when we do learn things. I mean, but they're usually not major stuff. Always I'm always looking into it. And I always have an interest because I find the Gaon period to be the most exciting period of Jewish history, because it was.
Is there a Gaon I would know? Like
Rav Hai Gaon, Rav Shira Gaon, Rabbeinu Hananel was in the Gemara. He was one of the Geonim. We actually spoke.
Vilna Gaon?
No.
Different.
The Vilna Gaon lived in the 1700s. The reason why they call him the Gaon is because he was so knowledgeable that he clearly was from the Gaon period. Today, unfortunately, there's a tremendous mishubash where everybody calls everyone Geonim. It's I hate to say it, but it's a busha. You know why it's a busha? Because when I was growing up, when someone said the Gaon, you know who I was referring to? Gaon of Vilna. Anytime a rabbi got up and said the Gaon, we knew it was Gaon of Vilna. But today they use the Gaon for everybody. I don't know. It never made sense to me that you identify someone like the Gaon of Vilna and then others, because Gaon of Vilna, his knowledge was clearly above and beyond what we understand. It said that he used to know how to read the Torah be'al peh, backwards, and you think words. No, he was able to read the actual Torah backwards. I'll show you what I mean. Just to show you the level of what we mean when we say Geonim, we say, it's just you understand. It's important that we put this all into place. I'll show you here this. So the last pasuk in the Torah is Le'enei Kol Yisrael, right? So everyone knows how to read the Torah frontwards. It's very easy to read frontwards. And you know what? People can memorize it frontwards. But even if you were to memorize it backwards, you would memorize the words backwards. So it says Le'enei Kol Yisrael, right? You see that right here? Let's take a look here. We'll show that inside. Le'enei Kol Yisrael, right? So normally, if I tell you to read backwards, normal people, Yisrael Kol Le'enei Moshe Asa Asher Hagadol Hamora Ulchol HaHazaka Hayad Ulchol. Good. That's not what the Gaon of Vilna did. No. He was so well versed in every word and letter in the Torah. He would say, La Rashi Lach Yaneel Hasham Hasha Rasha Lo Daga. But he wouldn't say it like that. He would read it quick. He would tell you, I'm saying 1, 2, 3, back. Any pasuk. He would know the words before and after in every situation. That was Gaon. You understand? We have to. You know why? Because if we lower the standard, it's a mistake. We have to keep a standard. This was the Geonim. And by the way, there's so many times I looked up Rav Hai Gaon different things. It was really so beautiful. It was really so beautiful when I looked up some stuff from Rav Hai Gaon. Like I had some questions on the Tefillah, and we have some of the Sidurim of the Geonim, of what they actually wrote. It's unbelievable. You can look at how they prayed. I found a lot of stuff I actually followed the way the Ashkenazim did it. This is a side note, but I did find a lot of things that way. It was interesting. Okay, v'chol elu ha-geonim shamdu be'eretz Yisrael u'be'eretz Shinar u'besfarad, okay, u'betzorfat. We have Spain, you have Shinar, you have Sorfat, which is not France, that was Provence, because France was not yet established. It was later on. Lamdu derech ha-gemara v'hotziu le'or ta'adumotav u'bi'oru inyanav. So they took the Gemara, which they had the Gemara from the Amoraim and the Geonim, and they started to make bi'urim on that. Lefi shederech amuka darko ad lim'od ve'od shehu belashon arami. It was an Aramit. Me'urav im leshonot acherot. Lefi she'otah halashon hayta berura lechol anshe Shinar. Everyone in the Eretz of Shinar, which is the whole area of the Middle East. That's Assyria, Babylonia, Paras and Madai. I guess this is whole that era. Be'et shechubra ha-gemara. Aval bish'ad mekomot, in other places, v'chen b'shinar, b'imei ha-geonim, en adam makir otah halashon ad shemelamedim oto. Interesting. בשאלות רבות שואלים אנשי כל עיר ועיר לכל גאון אשר היה בימיהם לפרש להם דברים קשים שבגמרא. Wow, interesting. So he says וכן בשם בימי הגאונים אין אדם מכיר אותה לשון עד שלמדים אותו. They had to teach them this language in Shinar. ושאלות רבות שואלים אנשי כל עיר ועיר לכל גאון. So Shinar, my understanding was that whole area of like Assyria, but let's take a look. Let me look up here and we'll check it. You know, we're here to learn, so believe me, I'm a learner just like you are. Mikol melamdai hiskalti. So it says here, Shinar, let me look at is the name of the southern region of Mesopotamia that's brought down. So again, that's like, it's southern area. So southern area of Mesopotamia would be not Assyria, it would be more like Paras Madai, Bavel, Babylonia, Saudi Arabia, and that area. And he brings here some of the cities that were there. You have Mari, Asur, Nuzi, Arafah, Nineveh was one of them, Uruk, Ur, like Ur Kastim. Let's take a look what else he has here. It's all southern Mesopotamia, he says. And let's see what they say under the Hebrew, that they have under it. Let's take a look. Shinar. Shinar hu shmo shel chevel eretz kadum המוזכר בספר בראשית ובמקרא העברי. סביבו התרחשו מספר מאורעות חשובים. כיום ההנחה המקובלת היום שחבל ארץ שינער היה באזור ובקרבת העיר בבל. So the main part of it was Bavel, that Babylonia, באזור המשוייך לשומר באותה תקופה. Interesting. And it's brought down in Bereshit in Yud. ותהי ראשית ממלכתו בבל וערך ועקד וחנה בארץ שנער. Okay, so I think we have one more line. No? Okay, so he's saying, והם משיבים להם כפי חוכמתם. So they would ask the Geonim, the people in Shinar, how to explain to them the Gemara. ואותם השואלים מקבצים התשובות ועושים מהם ספרים להבין מהם. And those who asked questions to the Geonim, they would write books in order to have the knowledge. גם חיברו הגאונים שבכל דור ודור חיבורים לבאר הגמרא. And the Geonim also in every generation wrote books. So everyone who asked the Geonim questions wrote svarim on things they didn't know. And again, they wrote, the Geonim themselves, מהם מי שפירש הלכות יחידות. And some of them actually wrote their own halachot. ומהם שפירש פרקים יחידים שנתקשו בימיו. ומהם מי שפירש מסכתות סתרים. And you had others who were explaining it. Wow, this is great. He did a fantastic job on this. I think we're going to really enjoy his learning.
And if you don't mind, I'm happy to share it with the group. There's maybe 100 people.
Yeah. Okay, great.
It'll help them.
Great. So we'll do it. We started this up. We went a couple of pages in. B'ezrat Hashem, tomorrow.
We get the one on Sunday for next week.
Yeah. So we need.
We'll be behind.
Habibi, this is going to take us. We're doing it every day, but I think it's going to take us a couple of days. B'ezrat Hashem, we're going to continue tomorrow. Baruch Adonai le'olam. Amen.